QC.
What's good, y'all? Cigar Fats. Hope you guys are doing well. Today, we have an amazing special guest in the building. She is a content creator, a producer, a presenter, a writer. We have the amazing Mochunks in the house. First off, I would like to say thank you so much for coming to my platform. Like, I know you have a busy schedule, so I really appreciate it. I'm honored to even have you on my platform. I've been watching you for years, like from the time you was doing your what's trending, your hot topics in your living room, to moving to different studios, like the whole transition of your weight loss journey, just so much. Like, you've literally, like, we've watched you grow, and just to see you now, like a whole married wife, like it's just amazing to see.
Yeah, we thank God. It's definitely been a journey. I'm really happy, feeling fulfilled. I think I'm getting to a stage now where it's like, okay, this is my calling. I think I've always known that, but it's kind of, it's difficult as a creative where money matters, and so many. I think money is the cuckoo. Money is the main. As much as you can be passionate about things, you're like, how do I sustain this?
About 5 years ago, 7 years ago, you decided to pursue your career as a content creator, and you started your own online TV channel, Mochunks TV. Do you have any regrets when it comes to your journey? Because obviously you've gone through so much.
I wouldn't say regrets per se. I would just say that on the other side, it's easy to reflect in retrospect.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I don't think it's necessarily a regret. I mean, if you were to define regret, you might find I'm very I will say something and someone will tell me that's what regret means.
Yeah.
But I like to define it slightly different. I would say that it's upon reflection, I realize, were there many things or a few things that I could have done differently?
Yeah.
Along my journey. And one thing I've realized is I should have tried to build a team before trying to build MCTV. That was Mochunks TV. That's like a 9 TV network, and the vision really for that, and still is the vision for that, is that it's going to be a network where there will be various different TV shows running simultaneously. How you would log in, you'd quickly, if you were to open your TV, turn on your TV, I said open. If you were to turn on your TV and you went to the BBC, there would be a program running. I wanted, or that's what I want. That's my vision for MCTV eventually. And, being on the YouTube platform, okay, if we could have a show running every day, at least one show running every day. So I had ideas for different shows. Real Scoop, that's like an interview series where I interview celebrities. I had an idea for What's Trending, that's like a Hot Topics recap. Chit Chat with Mo, that's like intimate conversation with me. I break down different topics. What's the Motive, that was an event series. This all sounded like a brilliant idea. You know that TikTok sound? I had the most brilliant idea I ever had. And it was working when I had the energy of an 18-year-old or 21-year-old straight out of uni with so much vim, and but eventually it all got too much. I began to adult. Adulting is not easy. Managing your personal life and your work life. It was starting to get to a stage where I was always feeling very burnt out, and I realized that actually you can't do this on your own. When you don't have that same vigor and energy that you had when you were 18, 19, 20, 21. And it's not like I did it on purpose thinking I would carry on doing it forever. I was hopeful. Sometimes they say start, and then eventually the team will come. People will come, but it was like they weren't coming. I mean, I had a guy, Toby, who I'm forever grateful for. Like, we still do business together every now and again. So like I have a branch of me where it's like I have a videography company, so we still do that together, and he would help with the filming, and that helped me greatly. Like, you see the production of What's Trending, especially when we had 3 presenters, we couldn't have done it without him. I think where I really started to need help beyond the cameras was like the editing side of things, and even like the admin side of things, and just I was wearing like 8 hats in one. I was doing producer, writer, admin, editor, presenter. It's a lot for one person. And like I said, it was fun and I could handle it when I had the
Mm.
energy, had not much responsibilities when I was younger. But the older I got, I was like, wow, this thing, I need help. And the team wasn't quite showing up yet. So I had to do the thing that a lot of us find hard as human beings, and that was to swallow my pride and downscale. I literally had to downscale the brand from Mochunks TV to now Mochunks, which is just allowing me to be like an individual creative without the pressure of the TV networks. I think that's another thing about me is that because I've had that grand dream in my head, the more or the longer the channel stayed as Mochunks TV, the longer I would feel like I was underachieving.
Mm.
And I think the pandemic actually showed me that no, there's a brilliance in just you as a creative beyond Mochunks TV. And you know, as you said that I launched Mochunks TV 5 years ago. That was one of my ways of standing out as well. And I guess there was that kind of imposter syndrome. Can I really be respected as just a regular creative in and of myself? And it's again coming to that moment of finding my authentic spots and realizing that actually, Mo, you yourself as an individual, you're quite interesting. So it's about getting to that stage now where I can do the one thing brilliantly, and that's just be a creative as it flows. I'll still carry on doing the one show, the Mochunk show. Imagine once I build a team for the Mochunk show, I have a team
It's
for all the
over.
episodes.
It's history.
So
It's over.
yeah, so it's just a matter of do the one
Yeah.
thing well, and then you can do the many things well later. So
Yeah.
it's just pulling back so we can launch forwards, and not just me doing everything and everyone's job, and yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of creatives can relate to you because, like you said before, like you was getting burnt out because you was doing everything. And I feel like, a lot of people say, well, why is it that you're wasting all this time, all this energy? But what people don't seem to understand is when you have so much passion and when you have so much like so much vision for yourself, you don't want to stop.
Yeah.
And sometimes you feel like if you stop, then you're not doing enough. Is
Yeah.
that what it was? Probably.
Being a creative, I'm probably many creatives can relate to this. For me, it's not a job; it's a calling. Like it's beyond. This assignment is beyond me.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I'm called to it. I believe I'm called. I'm made for it. I believe
Mm-hmm.
I believe every fiber of my being, all my experiences, people I've met with, the connections that I've made, it's all been for this. And it's like no one does you better than you. And if you decide you're going to vacate your space, vacate your assignment, it's like there's a void. That's how serious I kind of take it. In a sense of you're called for this, there's a purpose, there's a reason attached to this to touch lives. And it's like, it's those moments where you like get messages from people that, wow, this really touched me. And you realize that it confirms something you already knew. Yeah, it's definitely undoubtable fire in me is what we describe as passion that I would say keeps me not letting go of the dream, if that makes sense. Because so many of us, started this creative journey at around the same time, and so many of just like either pivoted or like just left it all together. And like, there's a few of us that are still like running the race, and it's like, it's that it actually reminds me of that many are called, few are chosen scripture. I mean, although that's about like salvation, so we shouldn't quote that out of context. But it does remind me of that kind of visual of many of you start the race, and then it's only those that are like truly passionate that carry on. And that's not to say that they were never passionate and stuff, but
It's
um,
hard.
it is.
Hard to keep going.
Sometimes you would choose stability over passion. I'm not going to lie to you. It depends on the kind of heart you have.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny. I don't really believe in star signs, but I saw this thing on Instagram about the signs as creatives. And it says something about how I'm a Libra. Is it
Yeah.
Libra? Libra. Libra.
Libra. I think it's Libra. Yeah.
Libra. Yeah. I'm a Libra. And I saw how like apparently we're very like it's a lot of heart. So we choose careers that are like it has to align with our more. Oh no, it wasn't Instagram. I was reading about my that ENFJ personality type.
Oh, okay.
There's something about it. Just do your Googles when you have a chance. But yeah, it basically says that we're the kinds of people that choose heart over, like we would choose a job that makes us passionate over something that puts food on the table.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what star signs. That's personality. But there was something interesting about star signs as well that I saw. But yeah, that made me think, because I could have gone into medicine.
Your parents wanted you to go to medicine school. They wanted you to do medicine,
Yeah,
and you basically decided to disappoint them and follow your dreams. Like, you
yeah,
used your house fund money, the money that you saved up for your house, to
yeah.
basically pursue your goals and dreams, to invest in your goals and dreams. Obviously, we're talking now about passion. Do you feel like, if you look back, do you feel like perhaps maybe you could have listened to your parents, or you have
I
no
mean,
regrets at all?
I in retrospect again, in retrospect, I would definitely say that parents they say what they think is right for you
Yeah.
because of their love for you. I believe my parents love me. They're
Yeah.
probably, looking at me, someone who they've recognized that she's a very intelligent child.
Mm-hmm.
And based on their upbringing, especially I'm Nigerian, intelligence is one of the best ways or one of the best tickets out of poverty or to a stable life. I mean, back when my family were maybe they were probably middle class,
Yeah.
middle class, doing really well. We're coming to this country, we very quickly became working class. And my parents want the best for us and for us to also have for ourselves. So they're thinking, you're wasting this thing. That's the logic in their head, that this God has given you an amazing brain and you want to use it on media. And I guess it's a lack of awareness of where media can take you.
Mm.
I would say that they weren't wrong. They weren't right, but they weren't right, if that makes sense. Because look at all these kids that are doing really well in the creative sector now, both black and white, but mainly white upper class,
Yeah.
children. They have this privilege of their parents. Not every single one, but the ones that are doing well, the ones that you're seeing on TV now, they've
Yeah.
had that privilege of their parents saying, "Okay, you want to do media? Let's call Uncle Fred. He works in the BBC. Let's get you on the program." So it's not a thing of, oh, you wait. It's the passion that I had should have been channeled with the vim that they were trying to make me pursue medical school with. Do you
Mm.
understand?
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, I had no uncle that can get you into medical school, it should have been, oh, I know someone that works in this media house.
Yeah.
You will go to school to be a presenter. I always say, like, if I was to choose another degree now, it'd probably be journalism.
Mm.
Done one of these BBC programs. Got my foot in the door. These are things that I'm still trying to figure out now. There's so many career paths. If it's that 9 to 5 that you want your children to do, trust me, if it's the stability issue, because I think that was the thing with my parents, that you don't have to be a freelancer. There's so many programs that you can go on to learn and advance and better yourself. So in that sense, I would say that my parents were right,
Mm-hmm.
sense of find stability, but the way they were pushing me into something that eventually I would have probably dropped
Yeah.
wasn't the best way. So I would say that, yeah, I don't really regret disappointing them. But I wish I kind of took what they were saying with a pinch of salt in terms of, Mo, what can you do to make this more credible? If
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you just confirm, did you always have the passion of being a creative, being in the media industry? Like, was that always a calling for you from when you was young?
I would say that it was a calling that I wasn't aware of until I got into university, which is ironic. So, when I applied to medical school the first time, I didn't get in. Um,
Okay.
and I was like to my mom, okay, I want to travel. When you say that South Africa, mom, I was like, I want to travel because I did amazingly in my A levels throughout
Yeah.
school, A-star student, prefect, all the on type on paper that the kind of kids they pick for medical school.
Yeah.
I didn't get in, and that should have been a red flag that maybe this thing isn't for her. But anyway, I still said, okay, what degree can I do that's similar to medicine? So I went to study medical physiology at the University of Leicester.
Yeah.
And actually, it's funny because I remember praying about what you need to go to, and I remember one of the pastors I was praying with saying, I see a lot of favor for you in Leicester. So I didn't really get what that meant, but I went there. Turns out Leicester is creative hub. I went there and I met so many creatives, YouTubers, videographers, just DJs. It was literally creative center. Met them, became friends with them, started teaching me about like cameras, and I think it reignited a fire that was kind of doused for a while, because I would say it was first sparked by my uncle actually. Always had a big personality, always been someone who, had like leadership qualities. Um, school plays. There was a time I was away, I was ill for the Christmas play in primary school. This was in Nigeria, and they still chose me to be Mary. Just because they knew that Mo, she's gonna give it her all. Like, she's very,
Yeah.
flamboyant, dramatic. She, a lot of attitude. So, these are all these small personality traits. And then it was one day I was, in the garden, and I had a phone, the Nokia brick phones. I don't really remember them. Nokia brick phone, and I was vlogging, and I was introducing all my family members. Yeah, introducing all my family members, and we're about to have a barbecue, and etc. etc. This is my uncle, and then they came and said to me, you'd be very good at presenting. And I was like, and it was like a click, because I went. He told me about some presenters. He told me about Tools, who's like a presenter in Nigeria. He told me about Mo Budu and all these, amazing personalities in Nigeria. I went to research him. I said, that's the thing. When you know there's something in you, but you don't know what it is, and you finally encounter some form of representation. And I found Oprah as well. I was like, that is. Do you get it? It's not like I want to replicate who you are, but it was like the thing. I could finally put my finger on it, and then going to uni after like years of preparing for medical school, and obviously the disappointment of not quite getting in, and now meeting, I was like, okay, this was the thing. This is the thing I'm going to pursue after uni. I made up my mind at that point. I still reapplied for medical school many times just to please my parents.
Yeah.
I remember the third time I applied, I didn't even try with my application. I was just like, look, I'm just doing this so they can see that they've rejected me again, so they can leave me alone. But I knew after uni that it was going to be. So, yeah.
Your content, you're always giving us quality content. Like, you're always bringing us amazing content. And I feel like, obviously, we've watched you from the time you started till now. And one of the things that you spoke on quite a lot is, now that you're working with different brands, now you're doing this full time. Obviously, we're seeing all of this now, but you've had to go through so much to get to this point. Like, it hasn't always been like that. Of course, you had to work different jobs, freelancing. Like, you had to do quite a lot to get to where you are today. So can you give us a little bit, if you can, like, share some of like the hardships that you went through? And is it really that easy to like create an online TV channel?
Oh, it's not easy. It is worthwhile. But again, I would say that it definitely was harder for me because I was trying to do things by myself, or sometimes just me and Toby, or me, Toby, and some friends who would volunteer.
One of the things that I like I totally respect is the fact that, we live in this social media world where people just want to show you what they want to show you. They show you that, they have it all together. Like, social media likes to always portray that, everything's perfect when it's fake, and I feel like with you, you're just very transparent with it, and you keep it all the way real, like, from, sharing your vulnerable moments with us, the hard times, the tough times. Do you feel like at times where you feel like, maybe I shouldn't have shared too much? Like, do you feel like you overshare too much? Like, why is it so important for you to be transparent with your viewers?
I always say to people that I believe that vulnerability is one of my gifts.
Yeah.
I find vulnerability quite easy, quite natural, but also vulnerability within boundaries.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you say, you're very transparent. I am, but I also know what I keep for myself and my family and my friends.
Okay.
I know what I put out there into the world. So I would say even that in itself is a gift. Being able to share just enough, to bring people in, to have that relatability factor. Would I say that I've probably overshared in the past year? Yeah, definitely. I've overshared in the past. There's a time when I was crying on camera because a shoot went totally
I
wrong.
remember that.
Even then, like I remember the support in the comments and like
Yeah.
everyone saying more like it's okay to cry, and I believe there's a beauty in it because it shows the humanity,
Yeah.
in us, in
Yeah.
the influence in or media space where
Yeah.
everything seemingly seems to always be going right. I think it's
Mm.
important for us to also see those moments of okay, wow, this isn't going to go, because imagine somebody else coming up and they're like, oh wow, like Mo always had it easy.
Mm.
That doesn't encourage anybody when you're going through like tough times yourself and you're like, well, am I doing something wrong? And you know,
Yeah.
I think it is good in a sense of it humanizes you, and it also encourages those who are going through their tough times as well. In my telling of my stories and stuff, I would say that definitely I've become wiser.
Mm.
And learn, like I said, there's things that I would say and share that I have friends in my life. They're like, "How did you like? How could you? Like how could you share that?" And I'm just like looking at them like, okay, like it's part of my calling. It's what makes me me. It's why you can't do what I do and I can't do what you do. Do you
Yeah.
understand? So I think every personality traits, every side of you is uniquely designed for who you are, and who you're called to, your tribe, I like to call them. And
Mm.
the more authentic I've been throughout this journey, which kind of goes off in a segue, I would say, is the more that I've attracted people who like me for me and who are like me as well. I find that my audience are very similar to me, and that's because like attracts like, right? You
Yeah.
know, so the more authentic I've become throughout this journey, I've realized that vulnerability is not it's not a bad thing, and I honestly don't find it hard. People look at me and they're like, "How could you say that?" I said it.
I said it. You would literally go on camera and be like, "Listen, I can't afford my team, so this is why
Yeah,
you're here on Mochunks TV." Like you
yeah,
just say it how it is, and I feel like a lot
yeah,
of people draw to that. They draw
yeah.
to your transparency and your realness because it's not always easy. There's broke times, there's high times, there's low
Yeah.
times, and you say it how it is.
Yeah, literally, like even that, it's like if you don't cry out for help, who will help you? It's like you're drowning and you want to keep mute. Scream for help, my darling, so that someone can pull you out of the water. Do you know how many times that no, seriously, I've been vulnerable on a vlog or something like that, and I've had a subscriber say, you know what, Mo? There was one lady at the start. I think it was in January. I moved back home, and
Yeah.
it was a very very vulnerable vlog. Where it wasn't like I was crying or anything. I was just saying, I was just accepting the reality of it and moving back home. It's happening, it's happening. That just means it's happened.
Mm.
And, I was packing my stuff and heading back, and they must have sent me some money. And the message with the money was, I've been praying more this month, and, God has been laying it on my heart to just give someone something, like
Mm.
an X amount of her salary. And she believes it was me. So it's even things moments like that that makes you realize why you do need to. Do you understand? It's not that you're. I'm not saying now every time you need money, go online. That wasn't my motive.
Yeah, you was just
It
sharing.
wasn't my motive. I was just
Yeah.
sharing, and someone thought, "Oh, let me let's bless." And it's not even like I needed it for rent. I was moving back home. I didn't really need money, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Uh, but it did cheer me up, and I did, add it to our wedding budget. So, just little things like that. It just helps you out. And because you were brave enough to be vulnerable,
Yeah.
to admit that actually it's not always okay. Do you know, sometimes I've reached out, when I've said, even my PA right now, I got her because on the vlog that you were talking about, I said I can't afford to pay my team right now. She messaged me saying, Mo, I'd love to volunteer for you. I know you said you can't afford, so please don't feel bad, because that's something about me. I love to pay creatives. I believe we
Yeah.
should pay for our work, which is why I've done a lot of things solo, because I feel like I don't want to exploit anybody. And she was like, I would love to volunteer for you. So if I didn't say, again, it wasn't my motive to get any of my subscribers to come and volunteer, but it was a pleasant surprise that, oh, actually, because I cried out for help, somebody was like, I'm going to help you. And the beauty of that as well, there was such a turnaround in the amount of brand work I was getting when that girl started working with me. You know, there's some people that you don't, you know, because you don't want it to sound all witchcraft, you don't want it to start sounding weird. I was like, you are a good luck charm. I'm telling you, to the point where I think within like 3 months, we made so much money that I was like, "Do you know what, have this." You know, it wasn't meant to be a payment situation, but we were making money as a team, doing as in with the brand outreach and stuff that we were doing. That was like, you know what, I have to give you something. So blessings in that way happen. It started with me being vulnerable and saying, "Yo, I can't afford this," and then she came in and then started getting me more brand deals. And man, the way life moves forward, sometimes I'm just in awe. But honestly, be vulnerable, man. Don't feel like it's not the cool thing to do, because you never know who's watching. You never know who can help you. So, yeah,
Honestly, I'm inspired.
yeah,
Thank you so much for that, because I really needed that. Oh my
yeah.
god, honestly. But
Seriously, yeah. Just say what you need. Like, I'm a
yeah.
bit tired sometimes to do it on like Twitter and stuff, because I feel like Twitter can be such a mean space
Oh
sometimes. I
gosh.
don't mind as much like YouTube. 'Cause
It's brutal.
I feel like we've got a nice little community there. But yeah, be vulnerable. You never know who's watching and can help you.
First off, can I just say,
Yeah.
Mo, the glow. You
Oh,
are glowing. I don't know if I said it early on. I just want to say massive congratulations on getting married. You look amazing.
thank you
Like,
so much. Thank you. Thank
you
you.
look flawless.
I feel like I've been a bit of like honeymoon weight. I'm like getting back into the gym now, but yeah, I think
I'm just gonna live it up. You gotta live it up sometimes,
yeah,
okay?
you
And
do, you
you
do,
look
you do.
good,
Thank you
like
so much. Thank
for
you.
real. But you know, your new series, Journey to Forever, has literally like people have loved it. I've been looking in the comments. People have enjoyed the series so
Yeah.
far,
Mhm.
from the beginning up to
Mhm.
now. You know,
Yeah.
your recent episodes. You're actually documenting on what it's like to plan a Nigerian wedding, the
Yeah.
culture, getting
Yeah.
the traditional dress. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, it's actually really inspiring. A lot of people can learn from it.
Mhm.
Um, One of the things that I wanted to ask you, you know, was that really hard for you to put out there? Like, were you scared of putting all of those things out there? You know,
Mhm.
even though you didn't put it out until you basically got married, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we started episode one on the wedding day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, was I scared? Do I still get scared now? Yes, definitely, because I'm a very like private person when it comes to like the people that I love and like hold very like sacred to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind vlogging myself, but then when I'm vlogging, you know, my partner and
Mm,
putting their like they didn't ask, to come into Mo's world. I mean, they're in Mo's world offline, if that makes sense.
yeah.
But they didn't really also come into Mo's world online, did they?
Yeah.
Mm, they don't really mind, but of course, there's still that level of, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah. Can we
But
just as well, like your husband was one of your co-hosts as well. Like
yeah,
and
is
literally
it?
when you put it out, I was like, wait, hold on, he looks
Yeah,
familiar.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You've been on the channel a few times. I think people noticed the most recent interview where we spoke about
Yeah.
this album, Before I Fall in Love Again. So we spoke about that, and like that was the most recent one. So a lot of people went back to that video and were like, "Oh my gosh!" But actually, he's been on the channel for
Mm.
several years. Like,
He
we've been
has.
doing
Yeah.
random things. So I think most people just didn't realize that. But yeah, so he himself is a personality in and of
Yeah.
his as an artist. So I think that's one of the reasons that why we decided, let's keep it off social media,
Yeah.
on we certify. We just thought it would be nice to just kind of
Let's
let the
just
world
enjoy each other
see.
without
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
business.
enjoying our engagement,
Yeah.
by ourselves. Or I remember like we told our friends and family, and it was just nice. Like I remember saying to him as well, like, isn't it beautiful that our friends and family found out before everybody else? So I
Mm.
think, right now the culture is that, let's not say it's a bad thing, it's just not my vibe. Something happens and you announce it online, and it's like your friends, your family, and your friends on the internet and the strangers on the internet find out at the same time. Isn't that wild to you? I remember saying to him that it's nice actually that we told our friends and family before we told the world.
Yeah.
And we got to kind of enjoy that space. by ourselves, without the extra voices and extra opinions and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I still do get scared, like putting out vlogs and like this whole thing about like evil eye, and then
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you.
Yoruba and me, I believe might forever be apprehensive, because
Yeah,
quote unquote an evil eye, and you know basically giving witches your postcode. But I also believe that greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. That's always
yeah,
what I counter that. I
yeah,
also believe that, there's a time and a season for everything. And if God has given me an assignment and said, Mo, it's time to put this out,
yeah,
who am I to disobey God? And I strongly believe that was his leading, to release it on the wedding day, because I remember when we got engaged and we went back home, we were saying to our family that, yeah, we're going to release it on the wedding day. And then as time went on, there were like little itches to release it earlier. But there was always some obstacle or the other, in a sense of I might not finish editing one part and I might have to go to work. Something might just happen and I never got to finish the video until like a week before the wedding,
yeah,
if that makes sense. So I edited the full vlog and everything, and there were just so many things that were getting in the way. So I was like, okay, yeah, I tend not to try and fight things like that, in a sense of I think God wants it released this way, and it's been beautiful because, and it's worked out so nicely because I've had no energy to create new content at all. So I mean, since being married and the events and stuff, so
yeah,
it's given me a nice break from the show, which was
yeah,
stressing me out greatly, and it's also given me something to put out in this time where I have no time to be creating new things, if that makes sense.
yeah, definitely.
I think it's God works everything out perfectly, the timing and the details of your life. And for that reason, I guess I'm not scared, because I'm like, you've given me this assignment. You've given me the go ahead, God, to put this out at this time. I know you're protecting us. I know you're protecting our union, our family. So, in that sense, evil eye can exist, but there's a greater covering on
Oh, okay.
my partner and I, on our family. That cannot bother me, cannot come close. But in the name of Jesus, so
Yeah,
yeah.
now you're married, you're not single anymore. And did you feel like at one point when you were single, like you felt like, you know what, this love life ain't for me. I want to
Oh,
give up. Like this
definitely.
love life is just not for me.
Definitely, like I definitely gave up right before my husband. Yeah, like genuinely. And I think every person gets to that stage where sometimes when something's not working out for you, you're like, on that, man. It doesn't matter how much you ever wanted it. You're like, nah. It's funny because I always say to my partner that somebody teases me like, oh, every girl has their dream wedding. I'm like, no, I never dreamt of having a dream wedding per se. I mean, from like maybe 21 and following the likes of like Bella Niger, I had ideas of my likes, preferences, things I wouldn't like. But something I've always dreamed of though is a healthy marriage, not
Mm,
the wedding day, not the colors of the flowers and all of that. Like I had no idea what kind of wedding dress I want. None of that. I always dreamt about a healthy marriage, and I will always admit that one because of the chaos that I grew up in,
okay.
and seeing not so healthy examples of marriages, and saying, you know what, God, I want the healthy version of this. Um, so
Yeah.
I've always wanted a healthy marriage, and when I'd encounter men and it wouldn't quite work out and stuff. It was sad, and doing putting all the work, all the healing, and what they tell you in all these singles conferences. If you do this, the man's gonna call me to fight a listen, and it didn't happen. And I think the one just before my husband was the one that I was like, it's okay if it doesn't happen. I think I'd gotten so close to God at that point that I was just like, I'm actually okay. Celibacy for me as well, or abstinence, we should call it, was
Yeah.
getting to a good place. Like I wasn't dying of roast. Like I was okay. I was just like, you know
Dying of
what? I'm actually all right where I am. I'm done. And I remember it's funny because
yeah.
I told him that night that I made that decision as well, and I felt it. Yeah, I think, like I said, every person gets to that breaking point where they're like, no. And I was genuinely serious, and I said to him, I'm done with men. and he laughed about it and stuff because we were that close to tell each other about like relationships that have gone left and stuff. And I said, yeah, I'm done. He said, are you sure? I said, yes, I'm done. Um, and it's interesting because he ended up, you know, being the one.
Yeah, he was right in front of you. You were just
Right.
looking at him.
But yeah, I would say, I say all of that to say that I had in my mind that I wanted a healthy marriage, a marriage that people see the glory of God more than anything, that God did this. Do you understand? It's not really about them, and there's beauty in the love, and but
Yeah,
when you see God shining through a union, I think that is so beautiful. um and I was ready to give that up because of one final mishap, if that makes sense.
yeah,
um
100%.
but I do thank God that we don't have a final say.
Yeah.
Yes. And he said, there's one more.
Oh my God.
I'd be happy with. I didn't know. I remember I when I felt something for him and I was like, wait, what's that? It was really confusing. No, seriously, it was really confusing. It was confusing, but it had God all over it. Is what
Yeah.
I say. And I guess that's just I guess a word to those out there beyond relationships. These are things that you're waiting for in your career, your
Mm,
life. Trust me, things do turn around if it's God's will for you.
yeah.
I think part of it was also getting out of God's way. I think perhaps that giving up stance was actually me getting out of God's way. So, even if it means it's a no, sometimes it is. I was filming a video today about how grateful I am, like, in our new home and stuff. And last year moving back home, not really having a room in my house, that was really tough. Living out of boxes, like moving boxes and suitcases and stuff. And like now things have turned around, we're in our home. It's really, really beautiful. And I said in the video that I want to be careful with my messaging. Things have turned around for me and they've turned around for so many people, but sometimes the trials in our life persist. um, and that's part of the human experience. There's some things that will probably, never go away for some people. But the beauty is that God is always there. God was with me through the tough times when I was at my parents' house, and God is with me here. And that's the beauty. It's not this. The turnaround is beautiful, but the beauty is that God is here.
Mm,
I don't know whether that I know if I'm speaking to someone, but yeah, I always want to be careful with my messaging, even if I'm telling a testimony like God turned this around. It's like sometimes there's some things in my life that I might never change. Like, for example, I'm a super anxious person. I'm a believer, spirit filled, and everything. That might never go away, but
yeah.
God is there.
What's your favorite content to make on your channel? Like to create on your channel?
Ooh. I don't know, it's interesting. In different seasons, I like different things,
Yeah. Or
and I was
what's your favorite content to produce on your channel?
probably the vlogs
Mm,
because it's like I don't want to say minimal work. It's yeah,
I understand what you mean.
but like a great outcome, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would say definitely chit chat with Mo when I have the energy. When I don't have the energy, it's the vlogs, in the sense of it's just easy, it's just lifestyle, it's
Mm,
just what's going on. Sometimes the show. I'm always conflicted with the show, in the sense of the type of topics I'm speaking about. It's like, am I gossiping? If the celebrity was to watch this, they're still a human being.
mm.
All this kind of thing.
I understand that. I know because I create similar
Yeah,
content.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard
Yeah.
because you're like, especially in the industry that we're in, where being mean is like in, and being saying the nasty, snide little comments to get people laughing is in. So difficult, but I would say that the vlogs is definitely probably where you see the most authentic version of Mo. The chit chat of Mo, you hear my thoughts and I hear your thoughts, and we
Mm,
discuss and we build community, which is so beautiful.
yeah.
But the vlogs also feel really real and down to earth. So
Which is very interesting because you mentioned about the hot topics that you create, because I can definitely relate to that. I feel like at times I feel people don't seem to understand that it's commentary. We're only reviewing what what we're seeing, and we know that they're real people. But at times I feel like people don't seem to understand this is just, it's not that serious, it's entertainment. And do you feel like at times sometimes you just gotta hold back on certain things that you say, just being cancelled, the cancel culture?
Wisdom that I believe I've still got so much more wisdom to grow in, but I've seen the growth in terms of, you know, when I first started YouTube, I'd just say any and everything, not understanding the implications, genuinely, innocently not understanding the implications until I a lot of comments of people telling me, and then one thing about our culture as well is I don't know whether it's a pride thing, or an unrealistic expectation that everybody has a level of wisdom that you might have, or a level of expertise that you might have in a certain topic. We assume that everyone should be educated. It's 2021. How dare you say? You understand? And trust me, there are people that are genuinely clueless, and that was me. You know, it is 2021. We should be clued up.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but when I first started, I think I was in my teens. You know, very silly, and you know, would be mean about certain people and stuff. And it's those experiences that have made me actually know you need to tame your tongue. Actually, you need to watch your mouth. Actually, these are real people that you're talking about. It's not just a laugh. You know, imagine something, God forbid, something bad happening because you made a video. Just imagine that. So it's definitely it's forced me, let's say that word, it's forced me to develop wisdom in the area of my tongue. And you know, I believe there's even a scripture about how your tongue can bring life or death. So you know, so things you say, it's all accounted for, so you need to be careful. So yeah, when I do have, it's made me apprehensive, sometimes a bit too anxious. Like I said, I can be quite an anxious person. I'm learning to stop saying I am and say I can be an anxious person. So it's made me sometimes, you know, a bit too hesitant. You know, there's the downside of it, there's wisdom side of it, and there's also now you're not even being yourself because of fear of, regardless, there's someone that won't like you. Just let me just put that out there. Regardless of how diplomatic you're trying to be, I always find it amazing. I'm like, wow, this is amazing, because sometimes I'll be so diplomatic in my video, someone will still hate what I said, regardless of whether I presented both sides and all of that. But the thing there though, or the takeaway there is, make sure you've done due diligence. You yourself, there will be someone that won't like it, but you yourself make sure you've done a due diligence in the sense of your morals, who you are. So if someone's still upset and underneath my video, and I know I've been kind, I know that I've been diplomatic, I know that I've presented both sides, I know that I haven't slandered anybody, then you don't take it too personal in a sense. I think it's sometimes we're guilty and we know what we've done, and someone puts it down and you're like, how dare you? And now you're fighting them back and forth. So I think, I guess the counter to that is just making sure that you've done due diligence yourself. It is a difficult industry to navigate. Ooh, it's very difficult.
It's very
People
difficult.
like, you know, the likes of Wendy Williams and her going through her own trauma, and people are like, aha. People are like, I've got you. You that you spent so many years doing this and that. I'm like, you know, you look at the end of someone like Oprah. So which do you want? Which legacy do you want to leave behind? So many tough decisions and conversations you need to have with yourself. I know Oprah did some shady things as well. I'm not gonna lie to you. You're finding out some things about your hero and you're like, oh, hey, they had to be you. But again, that's the human experience. You realize that they're not these deities. They're also humans who are capable of making mistakes. And I guess it helps you to be kinder to yourself as well. You know, you've made that blunder now. Move on, be humble, accept the correction. Now be better in your speech. That's all.
But speaking on Wendy Williams, obviously she's going for a lot right now. But a lot of people would say, well, you spent years trashing people.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And now you're you're sick, you expect people to,
Be compassionate. Yeah.
yeah. And like you said, it's a tough industry, but I feel like over the years, I feel like a lot of a lot of people that were on the Wendy Williams show or have gone back and forth with Wendy, they've always like tried, like, they've tried to reason with her. But obviously Wendy is Wendy. Like, Wendy's whole thing is, this is my job, this is entertainment. But I feel like people are saying, maybe is it karma? Do you feel like perhaps maybe this?
Yes, I believe in karma. That's why I had to go back and delete some videos. Okay, let me not say I believe in karma in that sense, because I also believe there's the grace of God.
Yeah.
But speaking of the Wendy Williams situation, don't expect people to be gracious to you if you haven't been gracious to others.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can be gracious and people will still be ungracious. There's that whole, epiphany about that. But yeah, was it surprising that people were ready to tear her down? No, because
people have been wanting to do that for years, though.
You're just waiting for an opportunity.
Yeah, 100%.
Which probably made what she was going through 10 times harder. And you would think that things like that will make people reflect and maybe not do things a certain way. I haven't watched the Wendy Williams show in a while, so actually I can't comment on that. But
yeah, same.
Yeah, it's just do unto others as you would like being done to you. Somehow I just put myself in, say it's a conversation we're having, I put myself in that person's shoe, and if it was me, would I like the way this person discussed the situation? Sometimes that helps. It helps you to be selfless, if that makes sense. Yeah, putting yourself in the other person's shoes.
But then a lot of people would say, well, if you don't want to be discussed, then don't put yourself out there.
If you don't want to be what, sorry?
If you don't want to be discussed, don't put your life out there.
Do you agree with that? I mean, I guess so, but it's still like, they're still human. Do you understand? Yes, they're hyper visible, but they're still just like you and me. They literally woke up this morning and ate breakfast.
Yeah.
The gym, and and they're still dealing with life the same way we do. I think sometimes that comes from a place of jealousy when people say that.
Yeah.
Sense of, oh, you have this amazing Beverly Hills lifestyle where you have so much money and okay, I have money and what? I still have emotions. Do you understand?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, yes, there is the downsides that comes with fame, but it's not for us to be pointing it out all the time in a sense of, because you're famous, you deserve this, or you should be able to handle. No.
You went from a size 18, I believe,
yes,
to then size 10. What made you want to start that weight loss journey?
I would definitely say that uni was hard, and the weight gain was inevitable. I've always, since I was younger, my weight has always been up and down.
Yeah.
That. So I have what I believed was a natural disposition to be on the bigger side.
Yeah.
And the first time I kind of lost a lot of weight in my life was around my GCSE time, and that was simply because I was more active. I was running around during summer, and I came back to school a lot slimmer. And then I went to uni, and I believe I just began comfort eating. I just began comfort eating, and throughout my university, the harder the degree got, the more I was eating. And it was like, I remember in my final year, like, I think it was every 2 hours or so, I would have like a sandwich or something to keep me going at the library. And you can imagine I'm spending like 12 hours at the library daily. The weight gain was inevitable. I remember my friend Ore, she was like, Mo, don't worry, we'll lose weight after uni. So that was legit the plan. Just, life is in phases, and I just accepted that in this moment. I wouldn't say I needed, but I convinced myself I needed the food to stay awake and to study.
Yeah.
And it was like a well done, I didn't want to, I'm already suffering in a sense of doing my studying. This is an area of pleasure. Food was pleasure for me, I would say, through that tough time of university. And I said to myself, okay, after uni, I'm going to lose the weight. But after uni came, and I still carried on those unhealthy eating habits and lack of exercise and stuff. And I think my mom kind of noticed that, and she had a very brutally honest moment with me, and she was like, Mo, I've noticed you sit down for ages, you're editing. It's not that you're doing a bad thing, but you're doing work, you barely move, and you're eating like you're eating a lot. Some of the things that you call snacks. They're
African moms are very brutal. They tell you,
yeah,
I mean,
well, like some of the things you call snacks are proper meals. Like I wake up and I'll just start frying egg or and indomie, and I'll have a plate of rice and I'll say I'm having a snack and I'll still eat later again or whatever. Do you understand? So my mom was noticing these patterns and was like, "Yo,
chill
you need
out.
to relax." Yeah, and I think I already had it in mind. Like I said, I was going to lose the weight after uni, but I think sometimes you get comfortable.
Yeah.
You get that kind of, and it was my mom's conversation with him was kind of like the catalyst, and I think she probably had a conversation with my brother because my brother suddenly took an interest in my health as well, and like he used to go to the gym nicely at this time around 5 a.m. in the morning, and I was an early riser anyway, so I'd follow him, and that was literally where it started. And imagine, like, I'm not the fittest person. I can't sweat on the treadmill for 10 hours or whatever it may be, but it was the consistency, going to the gym 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week or whatever it may be, and then discovering, obviously because science background, discovering and being very intrigued by the science of food,
Mhm.
health, nutrition. And that got me into understanding, oh, this is how calories work, and oh, these are food groups. But actually, noticing that, a lot of the weight loss guides, they were surrounded around, westernized food. And I was like, oh, but I eat amala. Oh, but I eat jollof rice. Oh, I have plantain in my house. Okay, how does this work? So then it was me now going on to research, okay, where do my foods kind of fall into this? So where would I put jollof rice? Jollof rice mainly carbohydrates. Where would I put something like amala?
Mhm.
Carbs, a lot of fiber, just discovering things about our food and discovering that actually our foods are not unhealthy. It's the way we portion it, it's the way we cook it, and being so fascinated with that world, and learning about dietary swaps, for example, cauliflower rice for rice, and courgette noodles for spaghetti, and just really healthy ways to get more veg in my body, more protein in my body, less of the carbs. I'm not saying no carbs, less of the carbs, less of the sugar, and just having a balanced plate.
Yeah.
Um, that was what kickstarted the whole thing for me, and seeing the results as well. I remember actually I plateaued at one point and then decided, okay, I'm going to give myself a break from the gym. Maybe my body's gotten too used to the routine. And then I went back to the gym, and I remember the gym guy looking at me like, "You've lost weight." Like he was in shock. So even that time that I was off not coming to the gym because of my nutrition, I'd gotten even to an even more better place. That even
Yeah.
the gym guy was like, "Yo, is that the same person?" Like he probably noticed my face,
Yeah.
or like, "Wow, you've lost weight," and then people telling me that, "Oh, you've lost." So that helps you, like, "Oh, let me keep going." Yeah, I weight loss was the goal, but I never had the goal for it to happen that rapidly. I would say I think the transformation was within like 6 months.
Wow.
I would say transformation was within like 6 months. um and that was just discipline and the right people in your life at the right time,
And
like
obviously consistency.
consistency. Like I wouldn't have
Yeah.
been consistent if my brother wasn't there driving me to the gym every morning. So it's just little things like that that God places in your life to help you
Yeah.
achieve your goals. And yeah, obviously losing weight Nigerian came out of that. I didn't actually realize there was a whole other brand that was quite similar, Lose It Nigerian. I
Okay.
discovered it much later, and I was like, oh, I hope they don't think I've plagiarized their stuff. But honestly, I didn't even do that book to make it a brand or anything. I did that book because I kept getting questions
Mm.
about my weight loss and the fact that they still see me eating Nigerian food and everything. So it was literally just, this is my book to answer your questions. Go and buy it. So that's literally why I wrote Losing Weight Nigerian as well. I haven't promoted it as much in a long time, but yeah. And here I am now, I believe, maintaining it. I probably will share some tips on my channel because a lot of people do ask me, how have you kept the weight off? You haven't gotten back to that place. It's all about a balanced diet, just without going off course too much. You don't starve yourself with the things you love. That is a recipe for disaster. You just learn how to have a balanced plate. That is all. Just learn how to have a balanced diet.
One of the things that I wanted to speak on is basically what's next for Mochunks? What's next for
Yeah.
MCTV? Give us the tea. We want to know.
I would say that, can you say in front of the scenes? Yeah, in front of the scenes, what everyone will be seeing, it will be more of Mo. It will be
Okay.
more of me being my most authentic self. I'll be sharing more on like nutrition and that side of things that I really love. It's going to be a lot more like lifestyle stuff, because I
Yeah.
just feel really more at peace in life now. And I have the space to create that kind of content.
Oh, exciting.
Definitely will carry on with the show as well. But behind the scenes, I'm going to be working so hard to make sure that I have a production team behind me. More than anything, I think that is what is missing. And by God's grace, now I'm a wife, and by God's grace, probably soon a mother. And
Oh,
I want to make sure that I have things in place that will enable me to make those my priority, if that makes
yeah.
sense. I
Yeah,
believe
100%.
very strongly that human connection is probably our biggest purpose above all. I love coming home to a safe space. In my husband and in my children, I want to make sure that they're cared for and well nurtured. Um, so yeah, I want to make sure that I have things in place that enable my workload to not be so overwhelming that home suffers. I don't know whether that
Yeah.
makes
When you did your What's Trending Hot Topics with your other presenters, the two
yeah.
other presenters, I
Uh-huh,
feel like it showed a lot more of your personality. It definitely showed a fun side to you. Do you
uh-huh.
agree?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I would say that when you're with other people, definitely you bounce off of each other a lot more and
100%.
all of that kind of stuff.
And it
But
was like, it was so nice when you it was the three of you, it was like
yeah,
the three amigos. Like I was
yeah,
like, it was every time when you uploaded
yeah,
What's Trending Hot Topics that
mhm,
time,
mhm,
I never missed it. I
yeah,
was enjoying every minute of it. Like
mhm,
it was so amazing to see. And obviously the studio when that journey closed, but that
yeah,
doesn't mean we can't have another Mochunks TV coming up and with amazing production as well. So we're excited to see that.
yeah, yeah. By God's grace, I mean it's all in God's hands.
Yeah,
In
100%.
terms of MCTV, when that comes back, it's not a dream that I've left, and that isn't the
Yeah.
end of it. But yeah, in terms of things like what's trending, I probably want to focus on chit chat with Mo a lot more, because I feel like
Yeah,
it's less about people's lives and more about conversation. Um,
100%.
yeah, which is another reason why I shaped it that way. Yeah, MCTV, not immediately. It will come back, but I don't see it in the near future, if that makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
100%. I definitely get it.
Mm.
One last question. What would you say to the people out there that are in their mid-20s, their late 20s, that are feeling lost right now and perhaps feeling unlucky with love?
Um, if it's God's will for you, it'll happen. That's
Mm,
all. Just trust in the timing of your life. Excuse me. Just trust in the timing of your life. Trust in God's timing for your life as well. Trust in God's will for your life, and just let things pan out and happen the way they're meant to. Be it love, career, anything. The more we try and get in our way, I think the less things happen for us. So yeah, let go and let God.
interesting. Mo, I want to say thank you so much for coming to my platform once again. I really appreciate it. Any last words? What do you want to say to the people? Where can they find you?
You can find me on Mochunks at everything. Quite simple, girl. So Mochunks on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know what other platforms there are, but if you search Mochunks, you'll probably find it. And just be yourself. That is, I guess, one of my biggest messages in this season. The more authentic you are, the more you attract your own tribe, your own lover, your own friends, your own career. Everything becomes a magnet to the real, authentic you. Yeah,
Interesting. Oh, I love that.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Mo.
Thank you.
Um, have a lovely evening. I really appreciate it. I still can't believe that you actually like messaging me back.
Oh,
I
thank you
was
so
so
much.
gassed. I was like,
Thank you.
no.
You're doing amazing as well. So you keep going and keep
I
your head
appreciate
up, and keep putting out content. Like, just look at Issa Rae, the way things moved around for her. Just consistency over time, and
it. Yeah.
just do the right things, and you know, by God's grace, it will crown it all for you.
Thank you so much, Mo.
Thank
Have a lovely evening. Say hello to the hubby,
I will.
and we shall see you on your next video.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in as well. Bye.
Bye.